As you recall in an earlier training video, when it comes to applying a format or formats to a cell or range of cells, go ahead and select it. I'm going to go ahead and select this cell. By coming up here on the Home tab to the font group, and then you've got a list of your formatting options there, including B for bold, I for italics, U for underline, or fill in the cell with a color by clicking on the Fill in Color drop-down arrow. Let's do a light shade of orange. You can also change the font within the cell, the color that is. Click on the Font Color drop-down arrow. Let's do red. In any case, that's pretty simple when you apply it to one cell, but then later on, if you want to take all the formatting that you applied to one cell and apply it to a bunch of other different cells located throughout your workbook on different worksheets here, then you can do it one of a couple of ways. You can either do it the way that we just did it, which is the long way, or if you watch my formatting shortcut training video, I show you how to take one cell and copy the formats therein and apply it to all the other cells, or you can do it a third way, which is using cell styles. And cell styles, well, they can be found up here on the Home tab in the Styles group and clicking on the Cell Styles drop-down arrow. In other words, Excel has some styles that are pre-formatted for you that contain all these different colors, the color of the cell, the color of the font. In these different groups here, you have the first group, good, bad, and neutral, then data and model, and all the other groups down below. So for example, if I come up here and I want to use this font style that's named bad, well, first of all, let's look at the naming here. Why would they name it bad? Does that mean that my cell is going to be bad? No. These are just formatting options, and these names are just suggestions on how you may want to use this style. For example, if you had bad cells or low numbers, well, that would be bad, so use the bad style. Or if you have high numbers and you want high numbers, then go ahead and use good and select good. And then there's calculation. It doesn't mean that it's going to apply, that it's going to do any coding or take your functions and formulas and mess them all up. Again, it's just the color. It's suggesting that if you have a cell that contains functions or formulas that you may want to use this particular formatting style. That has the results in orange and against a gray background. You don't have to use it that way. Again, they're just suggestions and the name of the style. So if I go ahead and click on bad, well, I may want to use it to highlight or emphasize a cell. Maybe I'm not using it for that purpose, that this means it's bad, but I just want to pull focus to it because I like the color coordination between the color of the cell and the actual color of the font. However, if I want to be able to tweak that to modify it, like let's say I like the color of the cell, but I don't like the color of the font in that style, then come back up here to the Styles group, click on the Styles drop-down arrow, and take any one of these options here and just give it a right click. And in the list of options, you have Modify. Go ahead and left click on Modify. It gives us the name of the style that we want to modify, and down below what the style includes. The different formatting options, which is for the font, you've got the type of font, Arial, the size, and then the color. Now because the color isn't a simple color like red, green, purple, blue, it's a custom color. It's going to have the RGB values, or red, green, and blue values. For red, it's going to be 156, for green, 0, for B, 6. Otherwise, it would list your simple color here if it was just green or orange. Then of course don't forget we have the fill in color, which is the shade here. If I want to change any of these or add additional styles to it, just come up here, click on the Format button. And of course we have the Format Cells window, which includes the different number formats, alignment, font. Well, let's go to the font. The color here is a dark red or burgundy. Click on the drop down arrow, choose a different color. Or if somebody gave you an RGB value because it's a custom color, and they say, well, red has this amount of red in it, and the value for green has that amount of green, just come down here and click on More Colors, go to the Custom tab, and either go up to add more red to your color or down for less red, whatever the values they gave you. When you're an artist and you really care about colors here, or making sure it's right, then you want to get particular with the values and not just go ahead and slop in any color here. As you see, I can just go ahead and click up here, and it plants the tick marks, the bullseye here, and that's the color that I'm looking at. As opposed to saying, well, we need 0 red in this color, about a value of 97 green, and hit the tab key, 0 for blue, and then you can see it takes my bullseye up at the top, places me in green, but then down below you can see that my new color is a darker shade of green. Well, it's green, the shading is over here, so if I click and drag that triangle up, I get a lighter shade of green as opposed to down, a darker shade. In any case, here's the current color, here's the new color that I have here. I can go ahead and click OK, and then there's green, click OK, and then you can see that it's not a basic green. If it was, and not a custom color, it would say green. So click Format, click on the drop down arrow, let's do a basic green, click OK. It says green, right? OK. I can go ahead and add number formats. By default it's general. I can click on Format and say for the number you're going to be currency, click OK. Whatever customization you want to do, when you're finished, go ahead and click OK, and there you go. So that way, at least in this workbook, and only in this workbook, when you go ahead and you modify the style, that if you need to select another range and apply that same style to it, especially if you're on another worksheet, then come up here on the Home tab in the Styles group, click on the drop-down arrow, and select your modified style of bad. The only thing about this is that when you change it, there's no way to reset it back to its original, so I'm just going to go ahead and click off in a blank area, hit undo it one time, and I'm back to, well, come up here, click on Cell Styles, back to its default color. Now, the reason why I said that if you're on another worksheet, you may want to use the cell styles, because if you watch my formatting shortcut training video, I show you how to use the Format Painter, which is really easy to use if you've got some sort of cell that you can copy the formatting within the same worksheet too. But if you have to go on another worksheet, you can still use the Format Painter, but it takes a couple extra clicks. In any case, you want to watch that training video. Finally, if you don't like the default styles that are listed up here, in other words, you don't want to do a simple tweak by right-clicking and modifying, you want to create a completely new style, then just come down here and click on New Cell Style. By default, it's going to go ahead and look at the cell that you have selected and include all those styles. If you like it, then great. If you don't want to include different parts or different formats of the cell that's selected, go ahead and uncheck it. And that won't be part of the new style or the custom style that you apply to another cell. Okay? But let me go ahead and check font, because I do want the font to be Arial size 10 with the RGB value. Maybe I don't want it to have any currency or a particular number value to it. In any case, check what you would like to see or uncheck it, and then if you want to customize what you have checked, then go ahead and click on the Format button. Make the changes for the different types of formatting options, the number formats, font, border, fill, protection. Let me go ahead and click Cancel. And the style name will be my Spiffy Stuff style. Click OK. That way when I click over in another cell and I'm ready to go ahead and apply that style that I just created to that cell, come up here to the Styles group, click on the drop down arrow, and it's in the Custom group here, Spiffy Stuff. Click on it. So same stuff, this time it doesn't have the currency. And of course, if you want to get rid of it, you're no longer using that style, come up here, click on the drop down arrow, and I tell my students, when in doubt, right click, because I don't see a delete style down here, so if you're not sure what to do, right click and most likely you'll get your options here of what you want to do in the menu. There we go, delete. Once I delete it, deletes the style, and if there's any cells that contains the formats that that style contained, just removes it. Thanks for watching. Hey, as a quick reminder, if you like my video, please give it a thumbs up. You can also click on me and subscribe to my channel, get notified of the latest videos, and for only $2 a month, you can have access to all my Microsoft Office training videos.